Yep. 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 Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me in the back? Yeah, you can hear me. All right. One thing's for certain, and three things are for sure. When you see me in front of TV, number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important of them, number all, number three. You want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And you may be asking yourself, how, Don, how, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very simple. It's easy. I'm not going to keep it from you. Smash the like button, subscribe, share with your peoples. And once you've done those three things, you've kept your Lions news pragmatic. And since we're talking about sharing is caring, when you shared this with your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your mothers, your mother, you name it, you have indeed cared about those people. All right. So we got some interesting tidbits coming out of places. We got some moves that the Detroit Lions could make. Should they make them? Who knows? Will they make them? Who knows? Listen, I just want to make something very clear. We're dealing with Brad Holmes. And we're dealing with Sheila Ford-Hamp. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by we're dealing with Sheila Ford-Hamp. I think I said this yesterday. But on the list of general managers, Sheila Ford-Hamp is pretty low on the list of money. She's at $2 billion, which to me is a freaking fortune. Obviously, if you gave me $2 billion, you'd never see me again. In contrast, what's her name? Jamie Allen or something like that. The daughter, I think, of Paul Allen, the former, or I should say dearly departed owner of the Seattle Seahawks. That's his daughter, I think, and she's taken over. Obviously, the money was left to her and all these things. She's 10 times richer than Sheila Hamp. She's at $20 billion. So when we talk about these moves that could the Lions make these moves, should the Lions make these moves, so on and so forth, I don't know if they're going to. These are just suggestions. Yeah, I don't know what that is, bro. It's I can't shut it off. I wish I could. I've got this thing here that's supposed to be reducing the background noise, but I don't know if it is or not. But I know that's very, very annoying. Oh, there we go. I got to turn it back on. All right. Let me know if you can still hear it. I turned it back on. Okay. So I don't know if they're going to make these moves. I know they should make the moves. I know they have the money to make the moves. I know they have the ability to make the moves with the money that they have. You may be asking yourself if they're actually going to make these moves or not. You ask me if they're going to make the moves or not. And I just say, I don't know, but I'm going to keep giving you the content to help you understand that there are moves that they can make. Money, it can be made to work. Again, if anyone is confused why Sheila Ford-Hamp having $2 billion and Jamie Allen having $20 billion, if anybody's confused as to why that makes a difference, it makes a difference because of guarantees. Okay? It makes a difference because of guarantees. when you guarantee a contract or when you guarantee a portion of the contract, what up to Irv Gotti? That portion that you're guaranteeing is going into escrow. When it goes into escrow, that means you can't touch it. So if you look at Sheila Ford Ham, and you say, okay, well, you got $500 million in escrow. You got $500 million that you got to get, that you guaranteed between these 9 people: Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Who else got paid? J-Mo, so on and so forth. Kirby Joseph. So you're like, oh, you got you've got $500 million in escrow. So when you got $500 million in escrow that you can't touch, even though you are going to be getting paid off of this money, because you're going to be getting paid ticket sales, you're going to be, TV rights, everything, it's a shared revenue model, which is what the NFL is. So the reason that you won't do it is because you're not comfortable looking and going, damn, that's $500 million of my money that I had to put away. Jamie Allen with $20 billion, and she's not number 6. She's not even number 1. With $20 billion, and she puts $500 million in escrow, I got $19.5 billion left. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. So this is the reason why I say these things. But can they make the money work? Yes, they can. Appreciate you, Mr. Detroit City. All right. So what we're going to talk about right now is David Njoku. Austin Young says we got to get Max Crosby. We do have a little bit of Max Crosby stuff. I guess you could call it updates. We'll get to that a little bit later. I obviously didn't want to lead off the show with that because, we've done a few shows about Max Crosby already. So I'll put it in there. We also got some conversations about quarterbacks and things of that nature. So we'll get to all those things. But right now, we'll just get to this David Njoku stuff. All right. So actually, let me do it this way. All right. So I just want to get these together. You know how I like to do. All right. So got an article here, and this is from Detroit Lions on SI, my boy John Macaron, the Doc, friend of the show. Brett DeWitt, what up, though? He says, can't wait till I get down to my last billion. Me too. Like I can't wait till that happens. That would be awesome. All right. So I moved into a new studio, so it's I don't have a lot of stuff yet. So, all right. Pros and cons of Detroit Lions signing free agent tight end David Njoku. The likelihood of tight end David Njoku returning to the Cleveland Browns is slim. This week, the 29-year-old shared his current plan is to sign elsewhere in free agency. When the opportunity presents itself to sign elsewhere in free agency, when the opportunity presents itself in early March. Njoku shared on social media, Cleveland, first off, I love you. These 9 years have been a beautiful journey. Damn, 9 years? I didn't even know he was on the team for 9 years. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all the memories we shared together. Thank you to the Haslams, Andrew Berry, and the whole Browns organization for everything. All my teammates I shared the battle with. I'm so grateful for you guys. The time for me to find a new home has come, and all I can think of is just the gratefulness in my heart the city of Cleveland will forever be home. Hashtag Chief out. So yeah, once somebody writes a goodbye to a team in a city, it's over. It's over. It says since 2017, the veteran tight end has recorded 384 receptions for 4,062 yards and 34 touchdowns. Through 118 games, which included a total of 88 starts, Njoku ranks as third on the all-time list of Browns pass catchers. His current market value is for a 2-year free agent contract worth $19 million, $19,982,600, which carries an annual average value of $9.991300. So $9,991,300 per season. Last season, the former first-round draft pick saw his numbers dip as the team turned to rookie Harold Fannin Jr. instead. In his first season with the team, Fannin Jr. recorded 72 receptions for 731 yards and 6 touchdowns. Njoku is ranked as the 41st. Thanks for the pop-up. I didn't need. Is ranked as the 41st best free agent this offseason via CBS Sports. While he is still known as a reliable pass catcher, Njoku has missed game action the past 2 seasons dealing with injuries. In fact, he's missed at least 5 games in both 2024 and 2025. All right, do I need to read any more? David Njoku is going to be on the Detroit Lions. That's just it. David Njoku is going to be on the Detroit Lions. He's missed 5 games in both 2024 and 2025. That means in the last 2 seasons, he's missed a total of 10 games. Where do we sign? Is the number 85 available? I know TK 85. So how much money is he going to have to pay Tom Kennedy to come up off that number? Nah, I joke. I kid. With Detroit hiring a new offensive coordinator in Drew Petzing or Drew Pretzel or Petskins, it makes sense for the team to invest more in the tight end position. It is expected the team will line up a little more in 12 and 13 personnel. Detroit did add Thomas Gordon to a futures contract. Who is that? And still have Sam Laporta and Brock Wright under contract. His costs may be prohibitive, and there are a handful of draft prospects general manager Brad Holmes may consider targeting. If the cost can remain affordable, Njoku is a player Detroit should at least inquire about. Okay, now, here's my take on this situation. Brent, so Mr. Detroit City says the Browns have wasted David's career so far. And then Brett DeWitt says, Garrett wrote a goodbye and it wasn't over. You are correct. But that was him trying to force his way out and also probably negotiate a new contract, which that happened. He got $40 million per year. And I think he's very happy with that. I don't know how much winning he expects to do, but if you're paying somebody $40 million a year, it is what it is. Everybody's why is not championship. I'd take David. You mean overpaying Sam? All right, so my take on this is quite simple. I'm the guy that's always going to tell you how the money works. I'm the guy that's always going to tell you that, you know, nothing is too expensive. They can make it work, yada, yada, yada. Here are 2 things that I don't understand. Number 1, the Drew Petskins thing. Okay. Drew Petskins, Drew Petzing, Drew Pretzel. 12 and 13 personnel, and he's going to use a bunch of tight ends, and we have to load up and stock up on tight ends. Trey McBride tells Sam Laporta he's going to have a great year because Drew Petskins loves the tight end. Okay. But Drew Petskins comes to the Detroit Lions, and in his interview, he says that he just ran that because that's what they had. They had a bunch of tight ends. He doesn't come with a system. This is what Brad Holmes said. He doesn't come with a system. He comes with adaptability, flexibility. He comes with, hey, you do the best that you can do with the players that you have. That's Drew Petskins, right? So this prevailing narrative that he just is going to use a bunch of tight ends is cool. Is it true? That's my question. Is it true? Because out of his own mouth, he said it's not true. The second thing is David Njoku is older. David Njoku got moved away from. David has had some costly drops. I don't necessarily love the price tag. But then again, him being the caliber of player that he is, I don't think he's going to take less than market value to try to win. And here's the problem with the Detroit Lions situation. You're going into free agency. Your biggest need in free agency is offensive line. If your biggest need in free agency is offensive line, not just free agency, the offseason period, what's your plan that you go and you're telling these free agents? Because while people on the outside may look at the Detroit Lions situation as still being favorable, the players know what's favorable and what's not favorable. Can you win in Detroit if they don't fix the offensive line? We see from last year, you can't. Will they fix the offensive line? Well, Brad Holmes said that they're going to be aggressive in fixing the offensive line. But then when he got asked about the defense, he said, define aggressive. Well, the word that you just used. You just used the word, and then now you want me to define it for you? I thought you knew what it meant when you used it for, to talk about the offensive line. So whatever your plan is to fix the offensive line, that needs to be spoken to your potential free agent targets. They're about to pay Sam Laporta. I'm pretty sure they're going to pay Sam Laporta. We're not going to let Sam Laporta walk and sign David Njoku. So I'm not exactly sure what the plan is going to be with the tight ends. I don't love the price point for David Njoku, but I don't think it's off by much. So because I don't think it's off by much, I would say if you gave him $7 million per, I'd be for it. And you know, I'm the guy that tells you the salary cap's not real. So if you're going to give him $7 million per, $9 million per is fine. So I think it's a very interesting situation that they could do it. Should they do it? I don't hate it. I'm not going to pound the table for it like Max Crosby, but I don't hate it. There's a lot that you can do with David Njoku in this offense, especially with his athleticism. He's the third leading Cleveland Browns all-time, reception or, pass catching leader, for goodness sake. So he's obviously, got ability. He's got speed. He's got the size. He's got the strength. I think he would be a fantastic fit in the offense. I think David Njoku added to this mix of weapons, again, gives you an embarrassment of riches. But I just don't prioritize this position. This is one of those things where you can go and grab a tight end in the 6th round and hope he becomes something. I don't know if I've ever, because I was going to say, I don't know how many times, but I don't know if I've ever gone and looked at it and gone, you know what we need? We need a baller-ass tight end. I wasn't a fan of Eric Ebron. I wasn't a fan of TJ Hawkinson. Why are we drafting them 8th overall, 10th overall, and things like that? Why are we doing that? I don't know. So Sam Laporta, because he was drafted in the 2nd round, it didn't really bother me. And plus, he's a dog. So he turned out to be a beast. And when I put on his college tape, I felt like that was a foregone conclusion that he was going to be a beast. So like I said, I don't hate it. I'm not going to pound the table for it. It would make our offense better, but our offensive line needs to be fixed. Pass, let him keep losing. All right, let me get your comments. I'll take Patrick Ricard as an FA for dirt cheap to help block then. Yeah, I would not be opposed to Patrick Ricard at all, but is he leaving the Ravens? He's a longtime member, so they may work out a deal. Plan to fix the OL was Shizer last year. So there was no plan last year. That I don't want to hear that. Tate Ratledge and there's a bunch of dudes that were 5th and 6th round picks is not a plan. I'm sorry. You can't address things in that way. Hold on. Whew. You can't address things in that way. It looks like I either turned that off or I changed it. I think I turned the alarm off. It's 12:30. So yeah, that wasn't a plan. That was just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what stuck. Question, is there a way that Brad could give a conference to discuss their financial situation or would that be too confidential? I want to know why they make the decisions they make for talent. That's probably something that they do with season ticket holders. They're not going to discuss that widely for two reasons. And this is not even like a shot at anyone in the organization. The first reason is that you don't want the whole league to understand your financial situation, right? Because while you're sitting there explaining your financial situation, you're already pushing away potential free agents. And guys that you could have got a meeting with may just want to be like, nah, we good. I'm not meeting with you guys because you really don't have anything that I want. You can't provide anything for me that I would like to have. So no. And if you had a meeting with him, you may be able to explain all that better so he's not just on the outside looking in. So that's those are the reasons that I believe that they won't do that. You know, you don't want that happening. I think I said it was two reasons. Yeah, that was the two reasons. Number one, no, that was one reason. What was my second reason? I think my first reason bled into the second reason, because that was the second thing that I wanted to say. Like, number one, you don't want to let everybody know what you're working with. Number two, if you let everybody know what you're working with, you may scare away potential free agents. So yeah. He's out of Baltimore. I hope we get him for cheap before Harbaugh brings him to lead block for Scatterboo. Right now, I think they might have a problem figuring out how to use him, since they got a problem figuring out how to use David Montgomery. You know what I mean? We can't use D-Mont. So, yeah, we can't use D-Mont. Hold on, I got to get something. 1 second. All right. So I don't know if because they don't have a fullback right now. Who did they try that with? They had a player that was like an H-back. Who was that? It was like early on, I think. Oh no, it was some no-name dude. They had him a few years ago. Does anybody remember what I'm talking about? He was an H-back. They use him as like a blocking tight end / fullback. How many years did Brad know about Frank's foot? Serious miscalculation. I'm sure he knew about it when he got here, because Frank's foot situation was well documented. Yeah, like I said, the offensive line thing, I've gone over this thing with Brad Holmes not spending anything on the offensive line except for Penei Sewell, and last year you drafted Tate Ratledge finally. But before Tate Ratledge, you were using 5th and 6th rounders for your offensive line other than Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker, that was, 3/5 of your dominant offensive line. And Brad Holmes was only responsible for 1/5. So, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So the point was we had an H-back for a bit. We didn't really use him all that often. So I don't know. It would be great to get Ricard. Maybe Gru Pretzel could use him better. Who knows, bro? All right. So the other thing that I wanted to get to, it's a little bit of Max Crosby news. So this was said. Okay. Oh, before I get to that, it's Clint Kubiak. Here's an article that we should pay attention to. And we should pay attention to it because of the defensive coordinator that we have. This is from Larry Brown Sports. Oh, shout out to Larry Brown Sports. Did y'all see the James Pierce crash out? This is a guy that they were apparently willing to draft. So the whole culture thing, we have to stop talking about that. If you were willing to draft a guy like James Pierce, and I don't know if y'all saw what happened, but apparently he exhibited stalkerish behavior to a woman that was trying to call things off. She was a WNBA player. She, blocked his number. They had been dating for 3 years. And he just engaged in a chase through the streets, hit her car multiple times with his car and all these other things. I mean, it didn't choke her or hit her or anything, wasn't physically violent towards her. But, he was arrested and he fled the scene when the police got there and they caught him and arrested him. So there were all types of red flags about character and attitude and all these things for James Pierce during the draft process. And I was one of the people who's like, but what exactly is this? They're just saying, oh, he's got an attitude problem. What does that mean? What does that lead to? Okay, well, now we know what it leads to. However, the Lions were still going to draft him, right? So I don't know. Like I said, the whole thing with culture, cut it out, bro. Cut it out. All right. So Larry Brown Sports, Renzo Pocholo's solo. It's not solo, it's Salau, but there's a lot of stuff there. What's wrong with my boy? Yeah, he went nuts, allegedly. The Seahawks exploited a tell from the New England Patriots offensive line that helped them dominate Super Bowl 60. Okay? The Seahawks defense was the most impactful unit on the field by far in their 29-13 win at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. While Seattle's imagine what the 49ers felt like watching the Seahawks win the Super Bowl on their home field. That's when they go to Santa Clara next season. Oh, they're going to be talking big mess. Big mess. Oh, this is our home field. We own this. So while Seattle's defense has several standouts, they apparently got a huge boost from head coach Mike Macdonald and his defensive staff. During his post-game interview, cornerback Devin Witherspoon shared that Macdonald identified a tell among the Patriots guards and tackles. They asked a lot of questions before this game, and I told them I can't lay the game plan out to the media, but I kind of knew what was going on, Witherspoon said. We had a good tell on what they like to do, how they like to play, and how they're going to attack us. You're talking about a coach who puts us in the best position to win. That's our coach right there, and that's why we always have his back. We had a tell on their guards and their tackles, how they like to set. They're going to overset on certain rushes. They're going to fall for certain moves. This is what Devin Witherspoon said. We just have to be better, bro. We have to be better. Like it just defense ain't. We're not good at defense, and we just have to be better. Coach Shep, how many tells are you identifying? How many times are you putting your defenders in the best position to win? That's a question. How many times are you doing that? All right. Raiders Clint Kubiak seems to say plenty about Max Crosby trade rumors. All right. So we'll go over this. This is from Zach Wassink. Former Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak agreed to become the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders at a time when plenty of uncertainty hovers over the Raiders. For example, it remains unknown what pass rusher Max Crosby has and or hasn't said to Raiders minority owner Tom Brady about Crosby's playing future. During his Raiders introductory news conference on Tuesday, Kubiak indicated that he will be working with Crosby throughout the offseason. For those of you that do not know, Max Crosby apparently, according to an anonymous GM, told Tom Brady in the meeting that they had after the season that he had played his last game for the Las Vegas Raiders. That's alleged. So that's why they made that comment. Will Campbell looked terrible all year with a young Pats line. A blind man saw that. No secret. Sorry. Well, here's the thing. It is a secret to people like Coach Shep because we're just not in the position to do better. So that's what I'm saying. All right. So Max Crosby was the first one inside the Raiders facility on Tuesday amid trade rumors. I got to drink a cup of coffee with Max this morning. Kubiak explained per Miles Simmons of Pro Football Talk. Love talking ball with him and looking forward to continuing these conversations. He was the first one in here this morning working out, so that fired me up. Max Crosby told you that in his word salad verbal diarrhea that he was doing with Colin Cowherd. He told you he was the first one, or he was always in the facility. He's working out. He's doing this, that, and the third thing. This is not anything nothing. Of course, Clint Kubiak is fired up because Max Crosby is still currently on the roster. Max Crosby already told you he was going to continue to be in the secondary or in the whatchamacallit. He told you he was going to continue to be in the facility. He's going to continue to work out and, work towards the best version of himself. All right. Crosby has been the subject of trade rumors ever since he made it known in December that he was not happy. He was shut down before the end of the season due to a lingering knee injury. All righty. That ain't working. All right. Like I said, I got to get a chair. before the end of the season due to a lingering knee injury. NFL insider Jay Glazer of Fox Sports seemed to be close with Crosby and said during Super Bowl week that he believes the 28-year-old won't play another meaningful down for the Raiders. What does that mean? He won't play another meaningful down? What does that mean? So they'll have him in the preseason and then they'll trade him? That sounds weird to me. A Monday report then claimed that Crosby has informed Brady that he will never play for the Raiders again. Okay. And then we know that he went on Colin Cowherd and didn't say anything when he was given the opportunity to tell us exactly what his plans were. Was he going to be a Raider for life? He didn't address Raider Nation. He didn't do any of the stuff that he usually does. All right. The Raiders allegedly prefer not to trade Crosby and may ask for similar to what the Dallas Cowboys received from Micah Parsons services if Crosby is serious about wanting a fresh start elsewhere. In late August 2025, the Green Bay Packers sent 2 first-round draft picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark to Dallas for Parsons. Now, we got something else on that as well. Clint Kubiak, Raiders want this amid Max Crosby trade rumors. We want him to be a part of our success going forward. There's no doubt about that. Kubiak added about Crosby, and he's one of the best players in the NFL. So that's a no-brainer to get to work with Max Crosby and to see him continue to have success with this organization. Again, this is nothing new. This is not shedding light on anything, because what coach is going to come in and say, screw Max Crosby, if he doesn't want to be here, get him out of here. Get him out of here. So Crosby and the Raiders agreed to a 3-year, $106.5 million contract extension last offseason, meaning he may have to make things awkward behind the scenes if he wants to be traded to an advertised contender sooner rather than later. For now, advertised contender, I'm thinking he's talking about the Lions. For now, it sounds like Kubiak expects to have Crosby on the roster for the foreseeable future. Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? Right? So as I said, that is really not, it really hasn't shed light on much. Okay? So now here's another thing that we've got. All right, let's go back to the Lions news. And we'll talk about compensation. And it's crazy that this article is in the Detroit Lions section, right? What do they know? What do they know that we don't know? All right, let's see. Here it is. Does anybody know what happened with Tracy Scroggins? I have not read the articles. I don't know if they found him. I don't know if it was, one of those situations. I don't know. All right, Detroit Lions on SI, and I'm assuming it is Doc Macaroon. It is. It says asking price for Max Crosby may not be high for Detroit Lions. The asking price for Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Max Crosby may not end up being as high as expected. It may even be at the level the Detroit Lions would realistically consider. Do tell, Doc. What are you eating, Jerry? Rice. Jerry's eating rice. Shout out if you know, use the hashtag. All right. While it is widely believed that the AFC West squad is seeking a trade package similar to what the Dallas Cowboys received from Micah Parsons, the actual cost may not be quite that high. In a recent post exploring 5 potential NFL trades that could go down during Super Bowl week, CBS Sports highlighted the talented defensive end may not yield the Raiders multiple first-round NFL draft picks. Also, let me know how the stream has been. Has it been stable? Has it been choppy? Let me know. Like I said, new studio, new provider, a bunch of stuff that's new. Crosby is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and we've seen that these types of elite talents can fetch quite a haul. Green Bay sent 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark in exchange for star pass rusher Micah Parsons last summer. Tyler Sullivan wrote, Parsons was 26 at the time of the trade, and Crosby will be entering his age 29 season in 2026. So a possible return may come in just under what Dallas received. If Detroit does make the decision to target Crosby, they may have to figure out what a future contract extension would look like. It's worth noting that Crosby is signed through 2029, but only has $30 million left in guarantees remaining. Only $30 million in guarantees remaining. That sounds palatable. That means an extension could also be on the horizon for teams looking to acquire him. Recently, NFL reporter Jason LaCanfora explained in a report that Crosby has informed Tom Brady he does not ever want to play for the Raiders again. As one NFL general manager reportedly explained to LaCanfora, that's a fact. He told them he'll retire before he ever plays for them again. Okay, so them's fighting words. Listen, this anonymous GM, we know why he's anonymous. If Max Crosby winds up being on the Raiders next season, he told them he'll retire before he ever plays for them again. But I'm not sure they're actually going to trade him. Browns pass rusher Myles Garrett said the same thing last year, and we know how that ended up. Now, I don't remember Myles Garrett saying that he was going to retire. What I do remember about Myles Garrett is he wrote a goodbye, as we said earlier. But I don't remember the retirement part of it. LaCanfora reported the 28-year-old was quite unhappy when the team asked him to sit out at the end of the 2025 regular season. Crosby's representatives have begun informing high-ranking officials from other NFL teams that the All-Pro livid over being asked to sit out at the end of the regular season, despite believing he was healthy enough to play, will never suit up for the Raiders again, and is intent on playing elsewhere in 2026. Those same executives, along with others involved in the market for top pass rushers, are not thoroughly convinced that the Raiders will adhere to Crosby's request and believe the team could ask for more in return for him than other clubs will be willing to part with. Okay, so mixed bag there. He may not cost as much, but if you want to get Crosby, he may cost more. So there's a lot of nothing going on when we're talking about Max Crosby today. Clint Kubiak, newsflash, is excited about working with Max Crosby. Yeah, a new coach. I don't know if I'm going to call him a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's probably a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. And Max Crosby, one of the most dominant edge rushers in the game today, right? He's in the upper echelon. So, yeah, of course I want to work with him. I'm the new coach. Why would I not want to work with that guy? So we'll keep an eye on it. Again, we do not know if the Raiders are going to be willing to trade him. The difference is this. When we look at the Myles Garrett situation and you look at what Myles Garrett has meant to the Cleveland Browns and what he's done for the city and the team and so on and so forth, that was a power move because he got more money. He got $40 million per year. Did he really want to leave? I don't know. Maybe he really did in his heart of hearts want to leave. But if you throw $40 million in front of a person and say, this is for you, it's kind of hard for them to turn that down. Shout out Dave Chappelle. If you know, you know. And that wasn't 40, it was 50. Max Crosby just signed an extension last season. So because he just signed an extension last season, I don't know what is like. I don't know how it would be financially motivated because they're not going to give him another extension. Like nobody signs a person to an extension just last year and then the next year they sign him to another extension. That doesn't make sense. So if Max Crosby is saying these things behind closed doors, then he really wants out, and it's going to be on the Raiders to figure it out. But if the Raiders can't figure out a way to retain him, we are here. We are ready. We are willing. We are able. And that's the most important part. We are able. The man has $30 million in guarantees remaining. $30 million in the NFL is nothing. So get him in here, redo his contract, give him a contract extension, and let him play out the rest of his career in Detroit and retire a Detroit Lion and hopefully go into the Hall of Fame as a Lion. I don't know. But yeah, you know what we do on this show, boy? We flow, boy. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing with y'all. But we do something called mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they read and you cynic mailbag? Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. All right, I'm gonna take a few mailbag questions. I encourage you to get your mailbag questions in. Also, guys, let me know. Have you visited themockmachine.com? It's time to start pushing it out there. I got some other creators that want to use it, but I want to make sure that it's working first, that, you know, it's not buggy and things of this nature. And I know the one-on-one personal stuff works, that, you know, it's just local. Well, it's not local, it's on the website. But for you as a singular person, it seems to work quite well. It's more so the other stuff, the head-to-head GM, the head-to-head drafting, all these things that I need y'all to let me know if those things are working or not. I trade Aleem and others for Max on the spot. Yeah, I'm not anybody outside of Hutch on the defense. Could get traded. I don't know if you want to send Jack Campbell over there. That's not what that's not what I'm saying. So I would say anybody other than Hutch and probably Jack. But again, if you're saying, hey, we'll trade you Max Crosby for Jack Campbell straight up, I'm sorry, Jack, but I'm gonna have to go with Max. Which acquisition would be better, Hendrickson or Crosby? Crosby. Crosby is better in the run game. Like he was number one in run stuffs throughout all defenses, all defensive. I think all players. Definitely defensive ends, but I think it was all players. So he's going to get after the passer and he's going to stop the run. He's going to set the edge and, you know, all the problems that we had stopping the run at the end of the season. I mean, you're just funneling dudes back up the middle because they can't hit the edge. You got Aiden Hutchinson on one side. You got Max Crosby on the other side. It's going to be very tough to run against that. And then that's going to help the inside. The reason that's going to help the interior is because instead of getting double teamed up the interior, they're going to get one-on-ones. You know, so whoever is left there, whether it's Tyleek and Roy Lopez, whether it's Roy Lopez and some other guy that we sign, plus Tyleek, because Aleem might be gone in the trade, which, you know, they're not going to do because he's one of their guys and they love their guys and they don't believe in trading their guys for other guys. But, Yeah. So Max Crosby all day. It said that the connection isn't safe. Well, it should be HTTPS, so I don't know why. But it is safe. I mean, obviously, you're not even you don't. Yeah, you do have to sign up. But yeah, it's I gotta check the certificate. It might have expired, so I just have to update the SSL certificate. Yeah, I'll update the SSL certificate sometime today. All right. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm rather uncomfortable sitting here. Like I said, I don't have my chair. So we'll try to get something going for tomorrow. All right. Once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. We came to give you stats, none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. Appreciate y'all coming through any technical difficulties that we had today. Like I said, shifted to a new place yesterday, so still kind of getting into the groove, but we'll get it sorted. All right. Pick up Arc Raiders. If I have time, I barely have time to play COD anymore. I'm always working. All right, we're out of here. Peace.